Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us tmosso@the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions about this watch. Today, we discuss something truly exceptional, a triple pink FP Journe Octa Calendrier, a watch made as you see it here with gold movement and annual calendar from 2004 through the final phase out of the last versions of it in 2015. Now, the watch we have here is a 40 millimeter example with rose gold case, movement, and dial. So that's the diameter. It's 10.4 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, I measure 47.7 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. I'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. It wears quite nicely. The fact that it is right around 48 millimeters lug to lug makes it pretty viable on smaller wrists. My wrist is 16, but you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. Over the top always exaggerates the width of the watch, and you can still see, even from this angle, the lugs are not over the edge of my wrist. Low enough to fit under a cuff. It also has a domed bezel that helps in that regard. There is a truly lovely olive green double alligator leather strap. You could see olive green, monotone stitch, folded edge, semi-gloss, large rectangular scale, symmetrical scale alligator leather, always a high quality, relatively expensive cut of the beast. And then on the bottom, small round scale. The reason being, though more expensive, double gator gives you a longer lasting strap, and this watch deserves the best. We have pull tab spring bars, so you can pop the strap off the case without tools. You can also see that the lugs are drilled close to the case to make for pivot centers closer to the center of the watch and thus better fit on a small wrist, and then a curved spring bar is used to prevent any impediment to the motion of the strap. We have a buckle here, pin buckle, rose gold, and FP Journe signed. A very simple and elegant accessory for a watch that is simple and elegant in most external regards. The case features blended lugs that turn almost 90 degrees down from the horizontal of the case. Everything's in high polish. The flange of the case back and the bezel defines the mid-case, and we have Journe's classic, instantly recognizable double dimple unsigned knurled crown. The dial, a media blastered, very matte rose gold. That's what we're looking at here. The Calendrier system, designed to be easy to read and also easy to set. If you look at the periphery of this watch, you will find that there are no push adjusters, as Journe intended for his calendar watches to be as seamless as possible, and if possible, seamlessly set using the crown. So you can see here, we have a quick set that allows us to set the week of the, or the day of the week, I should say, right there, and then also the retrograde mechanism in the opposite direction. Note that when you set the date, you also set the day, and what you want to do is you want to set the date and then set the day. And by driving through the entire month, you will arrive at the moment of retrograde, where it jumps right back to the beginning, and that's how you jump the month. Lots to love here. So we have a scale fixed by dial side polished screws. You can see the dial itself is held on by polished screws. We have a polished steel bezel around a silver sub-register, so a couple of different precious metals going on right here. The dial side screws, once controversial when Journe first coined this in the late 90s. Now it's almost universally copied. You can see that there's a handsome striation texture on the date ring, and then the watch is an annual calendar, so just one correction annually during the jump from February to March. Turn it all over. We have a rare sighting of Octacaliber 1302. So 1300 in its original variant was made of brass, and then 1302 was that movement now rendered in 18 karat rose gold for the bridges and plates, and then 1303 came around in 2007, which dispensed with this double directional winding system in favor of a unidirectional winding system. So you can see that the Octa features an off-centered rotor. It's not a micro rotor or a three-quarter rotor because it's still above the bridges and has its own winding bridge. But the idea here being that the complications were designed from the very inception of the Octa automatic caliber, and the idea always was that the mating surface on the dial side would require a little bit of an offsetting of the winding system on the case back, so that's why you have this sort of off-centered rotor. The rotor is 22 karat rose gold with a barleycorn guilloche, and then we have circular Côte de Genève. We have engine turning on the base plate. We have a free sprung balance for durability and precise adjustment in 5 positions, and it has a large amount of inertia beating away at 3 hertz. We have a single mainspring barrel with a relay mainspring that's 1 meter long and 1 millimeter from top to bottom. Basically, that's its cross section. The idea here being that Journe wanted a long power reserve watch, but not one that had a really dramatic ramp up and then drop off in torque. So he achieved that with a super long, super thin single mainspring in the barrel. It's 120 hours chronometric power reserve, though in fact it'll run for almost 7 days, stopping at about 160 hours elapsed. 30 meters water resistant, so you don't want to take this diving. You can see elements including anglage, engine turning, circular Côte de Genève, guilloche on the rotor, polished screw heads. And then it's called the Octa caliber because it is automatic winding, and Journe reasoned that if you turn an 8 on its side, it looks like a Mobius strip or infinite winding. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for pricing.